All right, so hopefully so far section 3.1, which was graphing, solving by graphing, hopefully that wasn't too hard for you guys to do. And solving systems by substitution was the one we did on Friday. Hopefully that was okay. The third and final one that we're going to be covering is solving systems by elimination. Now, elimination gets its name because we actually eliminate a variable when we solve. Okay, so that's why they call it elimination. Now, there's an easy and I would say, I guess you could say hard. There's easy or hard questions. There really is no middle, right? Some people might say there is based on the way the question looks, but I usually just figure they're either going to be easy or hard type of problems. Now, I don't mean hard as in like so difficult that you're going to not be able to do them. You just got to know how to go through and do them. Now, notice for this right here, they don't really give us anything that's solved for y. Sometimes they might, but usually they give you two equations. So you can see right there, it's two equations that are in standard form. If you look right here, two equations in standard form, right? It doesn't say y equals to the following, right? And we'll just look at the other problems. There's 8 homework problems for you guys. Here's 5 and 6, right? Normal looking, they're not solved for x or y. And here's another one. This one's, the 7 and 8 are almost solved for y, but not really, right? Well, sorry, 8 is, not 7. So we'll talk about those at the very end. But let's discuss what you have to do, okay? So the things that you have to do are eliminate a variable, okay? So let me kind of put the notes right here. So we're just going to put to eliminate a variable. Now, when you want to eliminate a variable, first off, you're going to have to choose one, okay? So number one, choose a variable. You can either choose to get rid of the x or the y, okay? Okay, now how do you choose? I'm going to kind of make a little line right here. The way you choose is you want to probably pick the ones that look easiest to do. And I'll kind of explain that as we do examples. But I'll usually tell you pick the variable that looks easiest to eliminate. Okay? Sometimes that's already given to you in the way they write an example. So let me show you. Like sometimes they might give you a problem that says 2x plus 3y equals 10, 2x minus 5y equals 12. I want you guys to notice how these match. Those are the easy ones to get rid of. The x variable will be easy to get rid of in this case because they're matching. So if I just were to subtract top minus bottom, 2x minus 2x is 0, right? It goes away. I eliminated it. But notice, if I subtract 3y minus a negative 5y, if I subtract those, I don't get 0. So it's not easy to eliminate those, okay? So when you're trying to figure out what should I eliminate, you're looking for things that match up, okay? Now, there are times when nothing matches up, so you might get something like this. X plus 2y equals to 8, and maybe 3x minus 5y is equal to 10. The easy one to get rid of in this case is the x value again. Now, I haven't shown this to you, but we're going to have to multiply to the top. But you notice how if I just were to multiply the top equation by 3, you see how I would make a match? So in other words, if I were just to say, okay, 3 times x is 3x, 3 times 2, that's 6y, 3 times 8, that's 24. You see how this would match that just by multiplying it by 3? You can do that. And again, we're going to do this as we go through the lesson. I'm not trying to jump too far ahead right now, but I'm kind of doing that by just showing you this. But you're going to have to choose which letter you want to get rid of. There is no wrong choice, but it may make your work a little bit tougher if you choose the variable that maybe is a little tougher to do. Okay, but it doesn't mean you can't get the right answer. You can always get the right answers. You may just have to do a little bit more work. So it's always important that you pick the variable that's easiest to eliminate. Okay, now part 2 is going to say add or subtract to get rid of the variable. Okay, so you're going to add or subtract to get rid of the variable, whichever one you chose. Okay, in some cases, let me put a little arrow here, you may have to multiply. Okay, that may happen. It depends on what the equation looks like. But you may have to multiply. Those are the ones that they call the hard questions. Okay? When you don't have to multiply, they are considered the easier ones. Okay? But the ones where you have to multiply, they call those the hard questions. Okay? Step 3, solve for the remaining variable. So if you got rid of the x, that means there should be a y left over, or if you got rid of the y, there should be an x left over. So solve for the remaining variable. And then the last step, plug back in to solve for the other variable. To solve for the other variable. I know it sounds like a lot. Usually, they always told us before, 5-6 years ago, they said, oh, here's a brand new strategy for math. Write down every step they're supposed to take. That way they know what to do. And us teachers were like, that's not good. And they're like, why not? And we're like, because then they basically just follow steps. They're not thinking. They're just following steps, which isn't learning. Right? Because if you take away the steps from you, then you don't know what to do, right? But this looks like it's a long process. It really isn't terrible. It just, when we write them out, it makes it look like a longer process. Okay? It's going to take about the same amount of time as the other problems did from Friday to do. So it's not going to be like, oh my gosh, this is taking forever. Okay? So, again, pick a variable to eliminate, right? The one that looks easiest. Add or subtract to get rid of that variable. You may have to multiply. Solve for the remaining variable, whichever one's left over. And then once you get that answer, plug it back in to see what the other variable happens to be, right? So if you got rid of your x and you solve for y, then once you know what y is, plug it back in to solve for x. Okay? So let me show you what this looks like. So I'll work on number 1 or 2. Doesn't really matter. We'll work on number 2. Number 1. Okay. So let me rewrite this. 2x minus 3y equals negative 23, and negative 2x plus 2y equals 22. Now, first off, I want you to notice I didn't write these side by side. Remember a substitution? I put one on the left and one on the right. With elimination, I keep them vertical. Okay? Which variable, if any, has the numbers in front of it that almost match? The x, right? The x variable has a positive 2 and a negative 2. Notice how the y variable has a negative 3 and a positive 2. They don't match up. Okay? But notice this one and that one, sure, maybe one is negative, one is positive, but at least they're still the same main number, right? A 2. So that means that my x value is going to be easiest to get rid of. What should I do in order to eliminate the x value, should I add or should I subtract them? So good thing you said that. So check this out. This is what I always write, okay? I put a minus on the outside. Do me a favor, do not write this down because unfortunately this will not eliminate it. But watch what happens, okay? 2x minus a negative 2x. What is that? It's a positive 4x. Did it go away? No, right? I wanted to eliminate it. That's what you guys said. Let's get rid of x. And when I did the subtraction, it didn't work. So that means subtraction is not the answer. Well, you only got one other option. Addition. What's 2 plus a negative 2x? That's 0x. Okay? That got eliminated. Negative 3 plus a 2y, or negative 3y plus a 2y, what is that? Negative 1y, I'm just going to put negative y. And then negative 23 plus a 22, what is that? Negative 1. So what's y equal to? Y equals 1. All right. Notice, let me show you in terms of steps. I'm going to zoom out real quick. We're already on step 3. You see how fast that happened? Right? Choose a variable, add or subtract, solve for a variable. We did all those 3 steps really quickly. The last step is plug it back in, whatever we found, to find the value of the other variable. That's the last step. So, since we found out that y equals to 1, I get to plug that into any one of these 2 equations. Which one do you want? It doesn't matter. Which one looks easier, top or bottom? Anybody give me an option. I don't really care which one. Top? All right, we're going to go into top. So, I'm going to put it in green so you can see it's a whole different part of this problem. 2x minus 3 times y, which is 1, equals negative 23. Okay, I plugged it into the top equation. If you want, I'll even draw an arrow here so you can see that that's what I did. Now let's simplify. I get 2x minus 3 equals negative 23. So to solve for x, what do I do? For that one, 2x minus 3, what do I do on the left side? Add 3. Okay, so plus 3, I get 2x equal to negative 20. So what's my next step? All right, so we're going to divide by 2 and I'll get an answer of x equals negative 10. So here's my answer, guys. It's going to be negative 10 comma 1, which is A. This is elimination. Now, I always have students tell me, well, what if I wanted to substitute? Could I substitute instead? Because I don't like eliminating. Yeah, you could. You can get one of those equations and solve it for y or solve it for x and then plug it into the other one like what we did on Friday. But sometimes that's just more of a mess. Sometimes that's harder to do. So elimination was created because they said, oh, look, these 2 equations kind of match up on the x value, on the y value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a different process. Instead of substitution, we're going to try elimination. Okay? Now, I do want you guys to notice that in this problem, I didn't multiply anything. Okay? No multiplication occurred. The reason is because these were easy enough because of the fact that the x variables had almost matching coefficients. Okay? One was positive, one was negative. That's okay. But at least they both had a 2. Notice how the y did not, right? One of the y's had a 3, the other one had a 2. They're not the same number. We're looking for something that has like the same number. Which variable for number 2, we're not going to do it, but which variable for number 2 would I want to get rid of? X or y? Remember, we're looking for matching things. The which one? Oh, I'm sorry. Anybody know for this one right here? Which one would I want to get rid of, x or y's? Y's, right? Because notice 3y, negative 3y. Remember, the negative doesn't matter. It's the fact that they both have 3's. So I would want to get rid of the y's first, okay? By adding or subtracting. Now, like I said, I don't want to do that one for you guys. I want to leave that one for you guys to do. Let's jump to another one over here. Let's look at number 3. Okay, now this is going to be the last of the quote-unquote easy ones, okay? Because these ones kind of match up nicely, okay? Which variable do I want to get rid of for number 3? The y value, right? Look, negative 4y, negative 4y. So those are kind of set up for me. Notice how the x value, one of them is a 9 and the other one is a negative 1. They don't match up close enough. But negative 4 and negative 4, they match up just fine, okay? So let me rewrite the problems here. That way I can write all over them. And negative x minus 4y equals negative 12. So I want to get rid of the y's. They're both negative 4's. How do you get rid of two numbers that are identical? By adding or subtracting them? So, all right, if we add them, now hold on. You're going to want to subtract, so don't write this down. But again, I just want to show you, if you pick addition and it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. Just subtract. But notice, 9 plus a negative 1, or 9x plus a negative 1x is 8x. Negative 4y plus a negative 4y is negative 8y. Did I eliminate anything? No. So that's how you know you messed up, right? So you're like, okay, whatever I did didn't work. So let me try again. Addition didn't work. Let's try subtraction, right? So let's subtract 9x minus a negative x. What do I get? So 9 minus negative 1. That's a plus. That'd be 10x, right? That's a 10x. Negative 4y minus a negative 4y. That's 0. Okay? And then equals to negative 12 minus a negative 12. What do I get for that? Also 0. So I get 10x equals to 0. So if I divide by 10, x equals 0. Now, by the way, if you look at your options, you already know which one the answer is, right? It's got to be D, right? Because the other ones don't have... Actually, no, wait. B actually has a 0 too. I just noticed that. I thought only D had it. So it can't be A and it can't be C, though, for sure. Okay? Now that I know what x is, I get to plug it back into an equation. Which one do you want me to plug it into? The top one or the bottom one from these two up here? Bottom. All right. So let's get the bottom one here. I'm going to write it out. X is 0. So negative 0 minus 4y equals negative 12. Now negative 0 is just 0. Okay. So this is just negative 4y equals negative 12. So division is going to give me my answer, right? Divide by negative 4. So y is equal to 3. So my answer has to be 0, 3. That's my solution. Now notice, a lot of times people say, oh, this isn't that bad, I actually like it. Which, you know, a lot of people say that's true, right? It isn't that bad. The only time it gets a little tricky is when the numbers don't match. Okay, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. Like, what happens when the numbers don't match? But before I do that, any questions on this one? Question number 3. So this is elimination. Okay, we're getting rid of things using elimination. All right. So let's take a look at 5 and 6. So we'll try number 5. I'll write it out for us really quick. X minus 6y equals negative 14. 8x plus 2y equals negative 12. Which one looks like it'd be easiest to solve? Like, is there an obvious choice here? There's a 1x and an 8x. And then for y, it's a negative 6y and a positive 2y. Is there one that just tells you, oh, it's got to be the following? You want to get, if I add the y's, you're saying? But will it get rid of it if I add them? Negative 6y plus 2y, does that become 0? No, right? We want it to zero out. Nothing left, right? Nothing left. If I add the x's, will they become 0? No. What if I subtract them? No, it's just negative 7, right? So, okay, if there's no matching, maybe I can make it match. Okay? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, the best choice is always to deal with the variables that don't have a number in front. Which variable here doesn't have a number in front of it? X. The X up on top. Okay, so you see this right here? No number in front. I'm going to force it to match the bottom equation. Notice it's an X. The bottom one is an 8X. What should I multiply the top one by to make it match? 8. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply by 3. Everything is going to get multiplied by 3 on the top equation. So here we go. This is what makes these problems the hard ones, okay? So 3 times x is 3x, okay? Minus 3 times 6, that's 18y. And 3 times negative 14, what is that? 42, so negative 42. That's our new top equation right there. And on the bottom, I'm just going to write, oh, wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm sorry. I multiplied by 3. I was supposed to multiply by what? By 8. I just realized I only drew half of it, didn't I? So here you go, by 8. I just noticed, I'm like, how come they're not matching? So here we go. Try again. 8 times x is 8x. Minus 6 times 8, that's 48y. Equals 8 times 14. Let's see, that's 8 and 4 is 32. So it's negative 112. Okay, now let me rewrite the bottom equation. 8x plus 2y equals negative 12. So these are my new ones. Now, which variable matches now? The 8x, right? So now I've made this into an easy problem by changing it. So should I add or subtract to get 8x and 8x to go away? Subtract, all right. Now remember, if you add, there's nothing wrong with it. You're just going to notice nothing got eliminated. So then you should say, okay, addition didn't work, subtraction will. Okay? 8x minus 8x cancels. Negative 48y minus a 2y is a negative what? So negative 48 minus 2. Remember, if they're both the same sign, add them together. So 48 plus 2, that's what you're doing. That's 50, right? They ever tell you guys if they have the same signs, you sum? Right? So negative 48 minus 2, same sign, so you sum them, 48 plus 2. So, and then negative 112 minus a negative 12. Again, calculators might be useful for you guys here. That's negative 100. So if I divide both sides by negative 50, what do I get? All right, so y equals, y equals 2. Okay, there's my y value. Y equals 2. So to solve for x, I just got to plug it into one of these equations, okay? So which one do you want to try, the top or the bottom one from up here? Which one looks easier? Top does, right? So let's get the top one. I'm going to plug in a y equals 2. X minus 6 times 2 equals negative 14. Okay, x minus 12 equals negative 14. And I just got to get x by itself. So I got to move that negative 12. So let's add it. So x is negative 2. So my answer should be a negative 2, 2. Okay, negative 2, 2. Which variable is that, or what letter is that? A, B, C, or D? C? Hold on, A, B. Yeah, it's C right there. Go ahead. So, again, guys, the process from here, like all of this, was the same as the other problems, the ones we called the easy problems, right? It's the same thing. The only difference is this part right here. Because none of the variables had matching numbers, we had to do it. We had to make the numbers match. And sometimes that's a little bit tougher because you got to multiply through. Okay? Sometimes they don't give you the equations in a nice form, which is what we're going to talk about right now. On 7 and 8, we'll do one of those. But sometimes they don't give you the equation in the right form, so you have to try to figure out a way to get them to match up. But before I move on, any questions on this one? Is there anything that doesn't make sense? You're wondering why I did something? All right. So 7 and 8. Notice how 7 and 8 do not look nice and clean, right? Like number 7, notice how it has 3 numbers on the left side for the second equation, right? And number 8, the 2x is on the right side and the y is on the left. So you're just going to have to fix that. Okay? Even on number 8, the top equation has the letters all mixed up, right? So you're going to have to fix it. Once you fix it, then it'll become a little easier. Okay? But at first, it's a little messed up. But I'm going to leave 8 for you guys. Let's work on number 7. Okay? So look at number 7, the top equation. I'm going to move the 27 this way, and I'm going to move the 9x this way. Okay, I'm just showing you by arrows. I'm going to erase them right now, but I'm just showing you what I'm going to do. Okay, so these are considered, again, kind of the difficult ones. So let me write it down. So I'm going to move the 27 to the right side. So here we go. Minus 27, minus 27. So I get 36y equals 9x minus 27. And now I'm going to move the 9x to the other side. So at least it has the x and the y's on the same side. So let's subtract 9x. So this will be negative 9x plus 36y equals negative 27. So that's my top equation right there. Okay? That's my top equation. Now I need to figure out my bottom equation. And that way I can try to figure out if they match. But I got to write them out properly. So my bottom equation is 8 minus 2x plus 6y equals 0. What's the only thing I got to move over to make sure I have x and y on the left? Just the 8, right? So I'm going to move it over by subtracting 8. So I get negative 2x plus 6y equals negative 8. And here's my other equation now. Okay? So now I can actually start doing the work. Okay? The first part was just fixing it so that I can actually do the work. Okay? But I can actually start doing the work right here. So let me change the color for us. So good thing is I can zoom out a bit to kind of get this work here. Negative 9x plus 36y equals negative 27. And negative 2x plus 6y equals negative 8. So the decision, which variable would be easier to solve for? You got to think like maybe I can multiply this with this to get that. Like which variable would be easiest to eliminate here? The y, right? Because you see how 6 and 36, at least 6 is a factor of 36. So that means, what do I multiply 6 by in order to get a 36? By 6, right? So let's do that. I'm just going to multiply the bottom one by 6. Okay? I know this is a long problem, but every once in a while you get some of these. So you got to know what to do with them. So let's multiply. I'm going to kind of put my answer right here. Negative 9x plus 36y equals negative 27. Now, if I multiply by 6, I get negative 12x plus 36y. Notice they match. Minus 48. So, what do I do to eliminate the y? Should I add or subtract? Subtract, right? 36y minus 36y is 0. So I'm going to subtract. Now let's do the x's first. Negative 9 minus a negative 12. What does that give me? So it's minus a negative. That's plus, right? Negative 9 plus 12. 3, thank you. This cancels. Equals to negative 27 minus a negative 48. I don't know that off the top of my head. So let me see. What is that? 21. So there you go. So what's x equal to? Yep. So let me write divided by 3 here. So x is 7. I'm just curious. Do I know my answer based on that? Well, I know it's not C and I know it's not B. But it's either going to be 7, 1 or 7, negative 1. So I got to plug it back into an equation. All right. Which equation? I don't know. Can I do the top one? Are you guys okay with the top one? I think that might be the easiest one. Maybe. So I'm just going to try that one. So I'm going to plug in a 7 for x, okay? So here we go. 27 plus 36y equals 9 times 7. Okay, so there you go. I just plugged it in. So 27 plus 36y equals 63. If I subtract 27, I get 36y equals 36. So what's y equal to? 1, right? If I divide by 36, I get 1. So my answer is 7, 1, which would be A. All right, so that lesson is done. I'm going to stop recording right now.